Hi guys, it's your friendly neighborhood headbanger Terry here. I hope you guys are well. The subject of this video is going to be, I guess, a life ramble update. It seems to be the thing that all the kids are doing. So just thought I'd catch you up a little bit on what is going on in my life and my house. The big thing that has happened is I got diagnosed with sleep apnea. And for those of you who don't know what that is, you've probably heard of it, but basically it just means that I have an obstruction that when I go to sleep, and it causes me to stop breathing or to breathe in a very shallow manner for a little bit. And I will start breathing again, obviously, or I will be able to get a deep breath, obviously, but it makes sleep unrestful. It throws your circadian rhythm off because you're not getting good rest, and then you're sleepy during the day, which I've always had an issue with. It doesn't help that I'm a night owl. I am at my best at night, and so, you know, all of those together do not make sleep a good thing for Terry. But I had, at first, a home sleep apnea test. And this thing that you buckled around your chest, it was a monitor. It was about that big. And it was keeping track of the activity of my lungs and my heartbeat and all that fun stuff. And I wore that for a night, which was not comfortable in any way, shape, or form, because I toss and turn a lot during the night. And I thought, I don't even know if they're going to be able to tell if I, did anything. Well, they took that, they read it, and they informed me that I had a total of 37 either complete stopping of breathing apneas or what they call hyponias. I don't remember the name exactly, but that's when you don't completely stop breathing, but your breathing gets very shallow. And of course, I was snoring. In the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, I have taken to snoring impressively. I used to give my husband down the road about his snoring. I said he sounded like a wounded rhino, and he does. But I have been informed by my husband and my daughter that I do a pretty good job of it myself. So snoring is a big sign of sleep apnea, and so is being overweight. Hi, my name's Terry, and I'm overweight. Hi, Terry. Certainly not helped by my eating disorder. So they decided that I needed to come in and do a sleep study at the medical facility. It's not a hospital, but I go to a facility that has all of my doctors in it, literally. My ortho, my GP, this sleep study place, gastrointestinal, everything is in this one place, and they're awesome there. And so I was like, okay, cool. I figured I would go in and it would be kind of a bare room. I thought, there might even be other people having sleep studies in there. And I thought it'd be a hospital bed and they'd hook me up to all this stuff and it'd be kind of cold and clinical. No. I went in. I have been in hotel rooms that weren't as nice as this room. Walk in, there's a queen-size bed with normal bed linens and nice fluffy pillows. There's a nightstand. There's a wardrobe. And on top of the wardrobe, there's a small flat screen TV, and just, it was amazing. And, you had a remote for the TV. Across from the bed, there was a door, and the door led to a full bathroom with a walk-in shower and cabinets and, nice vanity sink, not like a hospital bathroom sink. It was actual vanity. And, I was like, okay, what up? But then I was told that some people come and do their sleep study, and when they're done the following morning, they have to get up and go to work. So they have a shower and towels and everything ready for them if they have to, be all dressed and fresh and pretty for whatever job they do. So I didn't have to worry about that, but I thought, wow, that's really cool. So I get into bed and they tell me to just sort of chillax for a while, to kind of wind down. So I watch TV and just kind of chill out. And they come in, I had to be there at 8:30 p.m. They come in at 10 p.m. and they hook me up to, I'm not exaggerating when I say probably 25 different electrodes. They were all over my head. They were on my chest. They were along where my ribs are. They were on my legs, just everywhere, all over the place. And so they get me all hooked up to that, and then they hook that up to a monitor that's hooked up to a CPAP. And I actually did that sleep study with a CPAP. And they started out with kind of a low pressure, and the CPAP fits, there's a mask that goes over you like this. It covers your nose and your mouth. Now they have them just where you can put it under your nose and it'll blow up in your nose, like kind of like oxygen does if you've ever been in the hospital and had oxygen. But my sinuses are really screwed up, and a lot of the times I can't breathe through my nose. So if you give me a CPAP that only blows into my nose, I really will quit breathing. So I have to have the one that goes like this and around the mouth, because I breathe through my mouth quite a bit at night. So they put that on me, and it was a weird feeling. It's like air is just being blown into you. And the idea behind it is that if you stop breathing, air will be in and it will force you to start back up again. So you won't like not breathe for a few seconds. It'll just automatically take care of it. In fact, CPAP stands for continuous pressurized air something. You know what the last P stands for? Let me know. Anyway, so they had the CPAP on me, and I slept with the CPAP that night, and they monitored how many events I had. They kept it on a fairly low pressure, and definitely the next morning, the sleep technician told me that there had been some, events, not as many as when I just did the home study, because I didn't have a CPAP for the home study. So I went back a few days later, and I saw the sleep physician, and she said, definitely, you're going to need a CPAP. And she said, are you on board for this? I said, I am. I'm on board for anything that, is going to help me sleep better, because I have not slept well in all my life, I guess. So, excuse me, I've been feeling that tickle for the last few minutes now, and I finally had to cough. Excuse me. Anyway, so I signed up to get my CPAP. They called me and told me they're short on CPAPs. It's going to be a while. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought, they said it could be up to 3 weeks. 1 week later, it's at my door. So I get it out and I look at it. It's not a complex instrument. It's about the size of a largest clock radio, maybe this big. That's probably not a good measurement. I'm just trying to get you to see my hands. Anyway, it has a tank that you put distilled water in. The reason that you do that is if you didn't do that, it would be just dry air, and it would be very hard on your throat. It would dry out your tongue. It would just be a horrible, dry, sticky throat feeling. So you have the water, and the water creates humidity, so that the air that's coming into your system has some humidity in it, and it's much more comfortable that way. So you put the mask on. The mask, I felt like Bane from, was it The Dark Knight? The villain that wore the big mask and had like the straps on his head and everything. It's literally kind of what you look like. You look like you're suiting up to, I don't know, go out and walk around on Mars. And it has several straps, and I'm not terribly mechanically inclined, guys. I'm just going to be upfront with you. And so Bill had to help me put it together. And we put the medium-sized one on, and it worked pretty well. And I have to say, it's not noisy. You hear it when you breathe in, because, you're just right there with it. But other people that have listened to me with it on say that it's not really that loud. It's just like I'm breathing. So that's good, because I was afraid it was going to make like this loud humming noise or something, and it doesn't. It has a sleep report function where it will tell you how long you slept, how well your mask fit, how many events you had per hour. And I've gone from like 38 events an hour to like 2. And that is a huge, huge improvement. My sleep quality is obviously getting better. But I thought maybe that mask wasn't fitting me well enough. I thought, well, maybe, because I had the medium one on. I thought, maybe I need the small one. So Bill changed it for me. And the first night I slept in it, I thought, yeah, this is it. But then the next 2 nights, it was very uncomfortable, and I didn't feel like it was fitting me correctly, and I felt like the air was seeping out, because you don't want that. You want a good seal all the way around so the air goes directly in your mouth and doesn't, in order for the pressure to be right going into you, it has to be sealed all the way around, obviously. So I didn't feel like it was doing, that was going very well, and so I'm going to ask him if he'll put the medium mask back on, because here again, that many straps and loops and everything, I just, your girl just can't do it. I can play a piano, but I can't do that. Go fig. Got the Starbucks Christmas mug. Anyway, so he's going to put the medium back on, and hopefully I'll get to sleeping better. I actually didn't use it last night because I was becoming so uncomfortable in that mask, and I probably snored, but I did feel like I rested well, but I probably didn't rest as well as I could have. So that's the apnea thing. The other thing that I'm doing that I'm excited about is I have, myself and a friend of mine have sort of put together a book club, and the book club is going to be a therapy book club, and we're going to read books about different types of therapy and how that relates to our belief system, which everybody in the book club we're all practicing Christians. And that led me to think about my own experience with mental health issues and the church. The church has come a long way. It has come a long, long way. It was over a decade ago, well over a decade ago, when I went to the hospital for my eating disorder. And when I went, even though my parents were very, very active in the church, my dad taught a Sunday school class. Sometimes he spoke when the preacher was out of town. He'd preach. He wouldn't say preach, he'd say spoke. Let's see. Mom was very active in the church circles, and she helped whenever there was a sickness or a death in the church. She organized the food for everybody to take over to the house, and so she was also very active. And I noticed that when I went to the hospital, they did not tell anybody. Now, to be fair, I didn't tell. I told maybe 3 or 4 people that I went to college with. I told my roommate, and I told my boyfriend at the time, who I didn't go to the same college as me, and I told a couple of really, really close, dear friends. And there were some people that I specifically did not tell because they had big mouths that I didn't want anyone to know where I had been. And my parents, I don't know if they told anybody in the church or not. Can you hear my cat? That's next up on the list of updates. But yeah, this book is about, it's called Why Do Christians Shoot Their Wounded? And it's basically about why do sometimes Christians, the church as a whole, treat people with emotional or mental health issues as less than, or not on the same level as people who have cancer or diabetes or, that kind of thing. It's like it's not really that bad. As someone who suffered from major depression and bipolar 2, I can tell you that it is really that bad. But yeah, it's an incredible book, and it's a very, there are no words that are minced. It's a very upfront taking to task of the church and some well-known people within the church, some well-known evangelists, and basically how they have said that, I'm so glad this isn't ASMR, that they have basically said that you suffer from a mental illness because you have some sin in your life, or you haven't prayed enough, you haven't read the Bible enough, you just aren't being committed enough to God. Now, if you have someone who has cancer, they never say that to them. They never say, well, the reason you have cancer is you just didn't trust God enough, you didn't pray enough, you didn't turn it over to the Lord. So yeah, there's a definite imbalance in how they treat emotional and mental health issues as opposed to what they would call physical issues. Whereas if they were trained and knew what they were talking about, they would know that mental health issues are physical issues. There are physical things going on there. In fact, pretty incredibly complex physical things. Anyway, so number 2, Getting really excited about doing that book club, so that's going to be cool. Number 3 was the thing making all the noise just now, and that is that we have a new kitten. Yes, that does make 5 for those of you keeping score. We have Casey, our old man, our black cat, who's 11. We have Noelle, our beautiful brown and black and gray tabby. We have Sophie, who is a beautiful silver mackerel tabby. Look that up because it's really, really pretty. She's basically gray and white, but she's absolutely gorgeous. Fluffy mane around her neck. People have asked me if she's a Maine Coon. I'm like, if she's a Maine Coon, she was put in the dryer and shrunk because she's not big enough to be a Maine Coon, but she is gorgeous. She's fluffy and has a big fluffy tail. Let's see. And before this cat, our last cat that we had gotten, which was in February of this year, was Ella. And Ella is another black cat who was kind of small when we got her, and they said she was a year old. No way. She's grown exponentially since then. She's almost as big as Casey, and Casey weighs about 15, 16 pounds, if that tells you anything. Big kitty. Not fat, just big. So our newest kitty, her name is Zoe. And Zoe is, in large part, she's not full-blooded this or she'd be worth a fortune, but she is in large part what is called a dilute tortoiseshell. You know what a tortoiseshell cat looks like? They're kind of black and brown and cream-colored, and they've kind of got splotches of color, you know. Usually they're mostly black with, like, sometimes a stripe down their nose of brown or cream, and they've got just kind of little bits of color through them. She looks like that, except the color that would normally be black is a gray, kind of a grainy gray color. She looks like a tortoiseshell cat has been put in the washing machine and washed on hot and faded, basically. So she looks like a faded tortoiseshell cat. She has the colors and the markings. They're just not as bright or obvious. Now, the crazy thing about Zoe is her tail. She has a long, thin tail, and at the very end of it, about this much of it, is orange tabby. It's kind of a creamy orange color and has darker stripes around it. It has about 3 or 4 stripes. Then that completely stops, and the dilute tortoiseshell takes over for the rest of her body. I don't even know. It's like she was dilute tortoiseshell, and then she thought, I think I'll try tabby for like the last 1.5 inches of her tail. Or she just tried really hard to be a tabby and couldn't do it and just said, oh, forget it, and just became dilute tabby for the rest of her body. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a tail so markedly different for like just that much of it than the rest of a cat's tail in their body. So it's just, it's bizarre. It's crazy bizarre. So everybody's getting along pretty well. Ella and Zoe like to play. Noelle and Zoe mostly ignore each other. Casey, who is our complete and total laid-back, unbelievably laid-back cat, just comes up to her and sniffs her and play-bats with her, you know, every now and again, but for the most part, he can't be bothered. Zoe and Sophie are having, it's getting better. They were having some issues in the beginning. Zoe is jealous. Excuse me, not Zoe, Sophie. Sophie is very jealous. You know, she's the diva. She's a beautiful cat. She's like, I am the diva here. Who are you? She was not this way when we brought Ella in, so I don't know exactly. It may just be because Zoe is a kitten, and maybe she feels like she can intimidate her a little more. But we have, you know, obviously, you know, told Zoe that, or Sophie, that's not an okay thing to do. We used a squirt bottle to help train her. We've also given her, when she's by herself, a lot of loving and a lot of attention to let her know we still love her. And it is getting better. They can be in the same room now and actually kind of close to each other and do fairly well. I'm looking down at her because she's over here eating. Sophie is. You know, she has to stop chasing Zoe to eat. But, no, things are getting better between Sophie and Zoe. So that's good. And I think it's all going to work out. And everybody's going to get along just fine. It takes about 3 weeks for, you know, everybody to kind of settle in and figure out their place in the pecking order, if you will. So, yeah, we have 5 cats now. We're stopping at 5. Yeah, I begged for us to have Zoe because I just knew that she would like it here and that we could take good care of her and she'd be fine. And my friend E actually had her. She had rescued her from her engine block of her car, or her undercarriage of her car. And she was looking for a home for her. And she said, you know, she thought we would be a good home. And I think we are. I think she's settling in nicely. And she's got other cats to play with. And so I think that's pretty cool. So let's see. There's that. And let's see. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Delta variant, which is hardcore right now in my county. In my county's school system, 300 people have been diagnosed with COVID. I think almost all Delta variant. In the city school system, because my county works with two school systems. There's a county school system and then there's a city school system. In the city school system, there's about 150 kids that are sick, and I think something like 18 faculty and staff. And on a daily basis in my county, we're having about 300 new cases a day. We currently have over 1,000 active cases. And so it's starting to look like it did in January when we had that little uptick in the winter. It's not as bad as the surge in the summer was, but it's getting, you know, it's getting to the point where we're seriously going to have to think about what we're doing. And our governor, a lot of school systems wanted to do a mandatory masking among kids because the Delta variant is different in that it is affecting kids. The main one that we had to begin with didn't really affect kids that much. But this one is, you know, plays no favorites. It just affects everybody. Even people who have been vaccinated are getting mild and sometimes not mild cases of the variant. But for the most part, they do get mild cases, which is why it's a good idea to get vaccinated. I'm not going to argue that in comments. I don't care what you know. If you don't want to get vaccinated, there's nothing I can do about that. But saying that if you are vaccinated, your chances of having a milder case are significantly better. So, yeah, that's going on in our county right now. So we're all masking up again. Like I said, our governor, basically, if school systems mandate a mask, that kids wear masks, he has signed an executive order that parents can opt out of that. And a bunch of parents are doing that. And I'm like, why do you tell school systems they can have a mask mandate if you're going to tell them they can opt out of it? It's not a mandate if you can opt out of it. I'm not sure if he knows what that word means. But anyway, I have a lot to say about our governor. Bless his little heart. And if you've seen my my video on Southern sayings and Southern slang, then you know that bless his little heart is not meant in the nice way. Okay, moving on. Anyway, so the next couple of videos, I can tell you what they are going to be. The next video is going to be true crime. I already have the case ready to go. I've got it bookmarked in my phone, the research that I've done. All I have to do now is write it out so that I have a script in front of me, because if I don't have a script in front of me, I will rabbit trail all over the place. Although, I had things I wanted to talk about today, and I did not make a script or even an outline, and I think I've probably done pretty well, so go me. But yeah, there'll be a true crime one, and then there's going to be another show and tell, because I've gotten some new jewelry from paparazzi, and I wanted to show you guys that. And so those are going to be the next two. I haven't planned any farther than that right now, because I've got some stuff coming up. I've got my husband's birthday and my daughter's birthday in October, and then of course there's Halloween. I'll probably do a Halloween video. I did a blog post on creature features, the universal creature features, like the Mummy and Frankenstein and the Wolfman and Dracula, and did like some, you know, also creature features like animals, you know, like King Kong and that sort of thing. So I'll probably do something, you know, related to that, because I love the old Universal horror movies. I think they're great. There's a lot of storytelling involved in those, and sometimes modern horror movies have gotten a lot better with storytelling. But in the 80s, it was just basically, how many people can we kill in 90 minutes and in how many different ways? Story? We don't need a story. So yeah, they're getting a little bit better in that regard. All right, guys, I see myself rabbit trailing, so, you know, like I just did. So it's time to wrap it up. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're safe. I hope everybody around you is safe. And I will see you in the next true crime video. Bye.